PGA Tour Sunday. That, of course, Donald Trump on the links of Trump National in Westchester, New York. That's where Donald hosts some of the world's richest and most powerful people. And recently I had the honor of going along as he welcomed fellow billionaire Sidney Frank. Just who is Sidney Frank? Well, you're about to find out. Another beautiful morning in Westchester County, New York. And fittingly so, because today Sidney Frank is hitting the links.
Hi, how are you? Well, I am in agreement with God that while Sidney Frank is on the golf course, it doesn't rain. And it's always seemed to come true. Then I also asked God to make me very rich, so he made me a billionaire.
What is it about the game of golf that you love?
It's a game you can play all your life and you can learn all your life.
Each morning, the 85-year-old is helped into his $400,000 bulletproof Mercedes Maybach and heads to the golf course, often with former Nationwide Tour player and personal golf professional Jeff Fujimoto by his side. In fact, Sidney Frank has his own golf team, 3 pros and 8 amateurs, and on this day, the squad is playing at Trump National in Westchester.
They say he's hitting it pretty good, so I assume that Pat and I are probably going to be partners against Donald and Jonathan.
That's right.
The Donald they speak of is none other than the Donald himself.
For all these other big givers and big talkers, this is the man right here.
Yeah.
So who is this man? This man that even Donald Trump looks up to. Sidney Frank is a liquor baron and promotional genius who single-handedly turned Jägermeister into one of the best-selling imported liquors in the United States. But his biggest idea didn't come until much later in life, in the form of the recently credited best-tasting vodka in the world.
The story is I was 75 years old when I thought of Grey Goose. And in 7 years, I created it, marketed it, and sold it to Bacardi for $2 billion.
That kind of money allows you the freedom to do what you want, and Sidney wants to go golfing. But his playing days ended when, as he says, his wife started out driving him. So now he rides 18 holes a day in a golf cart, golfing vicariously through the pros and amateurs of Team Frank, enjoying the outdoors and the sport he loves most.
Got it.
Oh, I didn't get it. Not hard enough.
Good putt. Thank you very much.
Sidney spends at least $500,000 a year on his little golf habit. The team travels the country and beyond, playing some of the finest courses imaginable, with Mr. Frank as their coach, their teacher, and their mentor.
Yes, sir.
I think a baby 9 with a cut.
Do they ever disagree with you when you suggest a club?
Oh, we talk it over. Usually they agree with me because I'm right almost every time.
He tells you to hit shots that you're not necessarily comfortable with, but it's good in the end. You sometimes look back and say, wow, he was right. I mean, you learn a lot from him, so he knows what he's talking about.
Gets him in the mix with everybody's golf game, and it keeps him excited. And then if these guys hit a good shot, he's really pumped. He's definitely opened a lot of doors for all of us.
Sidney molds his men to someday excel on the PGA Tour. But his biggest lesson has nothing to do with golf. It's one even Donald Trump takes to heart.
It's good to be with you, Sidney.
Yeah, nice to be with you, Donald.
He's just a very special guy who's the most generous man I think I've met.
Really?
He's very generous, and you know, he's a believer more than anybody in putting back and giving back to society, and that's great.
So poor he had to drop out of Brown University after his freshman year in 1942, Sidney wanted to make sure other students wouldn't suffer the same fate. So he donated $100 million in financial aid to the poorest of students. In return, Brown paid him back.
2 miles of 8,000 students cheering Sidney Frank. You know, that's unbelievable. This is the greatest day of my life.
And Sidney Frank's charitable giving continues. Just this week, he donated $5 million to Brown University's Hurricane Katrina Relief Fund. And one more funny note about his giving. Before amateurs joined Team Frank and it was just pros, Sidney was known to just hand out cash on the golf course. $100 for a birdie, $500 for an eagle. You'd have funny contests like whoever had the whitest teeth got $100 or the highest socks. But since amateurs in the group, now he doesn't do that anymore. Fran, though, I did use Crest white strips before I went there to do the story. Still, though, didn't walk away with any cash. Maybe next time.
That's right. Well, good luck next time. All right.